20 things that were crazy at the time but proven to be correct. Bill Cosby, Harvey Weinstein, and Jimmy Savile allegations. Famous author Ernest Hemingway told his friends and family he believed the FBI was spying on him. They all told him he was paranoid or crazy. Years after his passing, his suspicions were confirmed when the FBI declassified their spying on him. Also, the FBI was also tapping Frank Sinatra's phones and reading his mail for years because of the rumors that he was tied to the mafia because of his Italian heritage. That the platypus was a real animal. The researcher who received the first specimen back in Europe was certain he was being pranked and meticulously dissected it to try to find where it was sewn together. The name sounds funny, but it looks like a duck and lays egg. Looks real to me. That stomach ulcers were caused by the Helicobacter pylori bacteria. Conventional medical wisdom was that stomach ulcers were caused by lifestyle factors. The bacteria theory was met with great skepticism and criticism. One of the researchers, Barry J. Marshall, resorted to proving it by ingesting the bacteria. 22 years later, Marshall and Robin Warren were awarded the Nobel Prize for Physiology for their discovery. A dingo really did eat her baby. In 1980, Alice Chamberlain Creighton was wrongfully convicted of murder in one of Australia's most publicized trials, accusing her of unaliving her 9-week-old daughter while camping. The mom maintained her statement that it was a dingo that took the baby from the tent. On February 7, 1987, new evidence later proved that a dingo in fact took the baby. Mom and husband were released from prison. The Australian government compensated the family $1.3 million. In 1942, conspiracy theories began to spread that Nazis had landed a submarine on a Florida beach and were now living in America. It turns out they actually had. In fact, they landed 2 submarines. One in Maine and one in Florida. The pushback against doctors washing their hands before surgery or aiding in birth was astonishing. They actually thought pus was a sign of healing rather than infection. Asbestos-filtered cigarettes, they were scientifically proven safe. But somehow, even before the Wizard of Oz was spraying it around everywhere, it was already known to be bad, and people in the UK tried to ban it even before the 20th century. They knew. If you don't wash your hands after handling corpses in the morgue, then go deliver a baby, the mother and infant probably won't pass away. This led to childbed fever. That woman had good reason to sue McDonald's over the temperature of their coffee. She had to get skin grafts. They made the coffee so hot, and every time someone makes that joke, I call it out. She just wanted them to pay for her medical bills. On October 9, 1903, the New York Times published an editorial that predicted it would take between 1 and 10 million years for humans to develop a working flying machine. On December 17, 1903, the Wright brothers completed the first flight in a heavier-than-air machine. That mosquitoes spread diseases like yellow fever and malaria. The CIA is selling drugs in black neighborhoods to raise money to arm and support a guerrilla army in Latin America. The hashtag Free Britney movement in the beginning was seen as people reading way too much into things and being weird. They were actually onto something. The shooting down of MH17 on July 17, 2014 by Russia. Still the highest lives lost from a commercial airliner shot down. The incident was initially blamed on Ukrainian separatists or the Ukraine military, however Ukraine blamed Russia. This was dismissed by many as propaganda. After years of investigation, the Joint Investigation Team determined that a Buk missile launcher from the 53rd Anti-Aircraft Missile Brigade from the Russian Federation crossed into Ukraine on July 17, fired one missile, hitting MH17 and returned to Russia. Who would have thought? Meteor made dinosaurs extinct. Proposed by Luis Alvarez around 1980, who incidentally was one of the scientists in the Oppenheimer movie. The evidence was the rare element iridium in geologic layers that could only come from outer space. Then eventually more and more evidence was discovered to make this the predominant theory. Competing theories were volcanic devastation and evolutionary senescence. Martha Mitchell when she called out Nixon's campaign for cheating during the election. They responded by trying to get her institutionalized and keep her from speaking with reporters. The phrase the Martha Mitchell effect was named after she was proven to be correct. Tuskegee experiments. People said they were conspiracies and that the government would never use unwilling black men as test subjects. Well, government documents say that's a lie. This reminds me of something. In a small South Asian country, the big pharmaceuticals carried out numerous trials of various birth control stuff on poor village women. They also released cholera germ in the water reserves of a village to create an epidemic so that they would run trials on the people there. When we were little, we read about a village where all children were born defective and passed early because of some kind of trial. We had a dictator in late 80s 90s who wreaked havoc on the country and was later overthrown. But one of his good works was trying to stop these kinds of rampant trial on poor people. Sinead O'Connor. And more specifically, her attempts to expose the Catholic Church's systematic cover-ups for the child molesters in their ranks. That woman got canceled hard, and she was 100% right. When trains were invented in the early 19th century, there was a general fear of the possible damage which might be done to people traveling at such high speeds, though they weren't fast by modern standards. To be fair, the carriages were open, and nobody up until that time had ever traveled faster than a horse can. The fear persisted longer for women of the time. Doctors warned the uterus was too delicate to travel at such speeds. Please like, share, and subscribe for more.